What's up, ladies and gents? Top Soldier here today, and today Mortal Kombat is finally here again. Mortal Kombat 12. I think this is a very good turning point for the NRS community. This is awesome that we're finally getting a fighting game. Especially, I think this is one of the greatest times for a fighting game to come out for Mortal Kombat. I think with Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, coming out, that's the new anime game pretty much, and Street Fighter 6 coming out like literally within the month or so. I think this is a great time for an NRS game to be announced. It's awesome that we get to see, finally, after months and months of waiting, that an NRS game is coming out. Also, I'm super glad that they gave themselves more time to release a Mortal Kombat game. I think this is going to say a lot about the game. I think it's the production time. It's definitely going to show more promise because there's more production time put into the game compared to MK11. Something that a lot of people forget about MK11 is that the game was announced and there was a reveal event and then a stress test and then the game was out. The game came out so early, it came out so quickly that things in the beta we still had issues with things in the beta, and that's actually something I want to talk about today. So I get a lot of people right now in our Discord or in Discords saying how oh, the game's gonna come out this year, because I think they said it was spoiled that MK12 was gonna be coming out sometime this year. I have been pretty vocal about not wanting the game to come out that early. I think having a reveal is fine. I don't mind waiting a little bit after the reveal of the game has been announced, because the thing is, I don't no offense to to a lot of people, but I don't know. I've been through so many generations of NRS games at this point, and I've seen a pattern, which this game having an extra year of production, I think, is a good sign of breaking that pattern. But things this game has, might likely, if it's coming out this year, might not get a beta, things like that, and things players being excited for the game to come out really early are really big warning signs for me, at least, because, I hate to rain on everyone's parade, but things being able to balance the game early, and being able to, fix problems that have been, jump kicks. Jump kicks in MK11 were complained about on not reveal date, but on showcase date. They were literally complained about on showcase date, and they were never fixed. I think they might have nerfed the frame advantage on them, but they were never truly fixed, right? They never fixed the hurt boxes and hit boxes on them. Baraka still has a jump 3 that half the cast can't anti-air efficiently. Now, I don't know if that's the game design. I personally don't think it is. I think it was literally just they didn't want to put the time in to change those particular jump kicks. It doesn't seem to me that they wanted the game to be jump heavy. I think really it just came down to they just didn't put the time in to change them. Same thing with Breakaway. I know they had a solution to Breakaway, but I think ultimately they didn't know what their solution was going to be, or they didn't know how to fix it. One of the things, because Breakaway was an issue from the beginning of the game. It was a big issue, and they actually made it worse by making the get up time faster. So I don't know what was the point of that, but all I have to say is that I am excited. I'm excited because new game's a new you always. There's always another chance to be a better fighting game player and to show your true skill. I think I learned a lot with MK11. I hope there's a lot of fundamentals that travel over. I really hope MK doesn't do this thing where they want to change. I think it's time for the developers to finally make a game where you get rewarded for playing the previous game. Now, I know a lot of people, Foxy included, would say something well, most of the times if you've played your previous NRS game, you're probably going to get good at the other one. But I gotta respectfully say that I don't know if that's necessarily true, because you know, I feel like games like Injustice and MK don't play the same at all. I think they play completely different, and I honestly do not like MKX at all. I have no good memory of that game. I don't think I learned much from it, just because the game's vastly different than MK11. So I'm just wondering what going forward MK12 is going to play like. I know people hated MK11. I know people who loved MKX, grew up on MKX, played MKX, that was their game. They couldn't stand MK11, right? So I don't know what the future is when it comes to that, when it comes to fighting games with MK. Like, if they're going to continue down the route of, you know, focusing heavily on strike throw, I don't think that's going to be the case. But I do hope a lot of the fundamentals from MK11 travel over to MK12, because, or MK1, whatever they're calling it, because there's a lot of good fundamentals in MK11. There's some that are bad, like flawless block on hit. I think we can all agree like that's probably not a mechanic that should exist in fighting games. It doesn't make sense. But you know, things like teching throws, you know, shimmying, footsies, zoning, things like that, I think are a good addition. So the final thing I wanted to talk about is about this whole thing is, as optimistic as I am about MK and about the future of fighting games, I think there's something that we need to address that's important in fighting games, and it's simply this. We need to stop pretending like the next game is going to suddenly, like, it's going to suddenly be different than the previous ones, right? I think a lot of times developers convince us that it's like fighting games is like are going, like the game's gonna change or something, right? But the thing is, like, we played, like, I want to go back to, like, we played MK9. Injustice. I didn't play Injustice, but we're just an example. We played MK9, we played Injustice, we played MKX, Injustice 2, MK11. I think it's important to have a realistic expectation of what fighting games are going to be, right? So, for example, something that happens a lot, or something that I've noticed with Street Fighter 6 is that, like, people are like, oh, Street Fighter 6, you know, Street Fighter 5 came out. We didn't like Street Fighter 5 because of V-Trigger. You know, I don't think anyone's gonna miss Street Fighter 5 because of V-Trigger. But my point has always been this, and I think this is important to kind of realize, and that's that fighting games is one of those things where there's always going to be a form of BS, right? And, you know, I already see it very, very quickly with drive, impact, and parry. That's the whole main game of Street Fighter, and I've already told people, I'm like, hey, like, you know, I'm gonna try the game out, but like, I don't know if I'm gonna like drive impact. Like, it might be one of those, you know, things where, like, I'm just like, dude, I'm tired of dealing with drive, impact, and neutral. I'm just not gonna play Street Fighter, right? Because the thing is, I played so many fighting games at this point. I'm not gonna act like I'm not gonna act like I'm just gonna instantly like a game, because I've noticed, you know, in these fighting games that, like, there's certain things that happen, and I'm just like, bro, like, I just don't want to deal with this, right? So, for example, MK11, the thing that really got me, you know, it got me to finally just respect was Fatal Blow. Like, I can't stand Fatal Blow. Fatal Blow, and, like, the fact that people, like, get rewarded for kind of mashing in this game. It's very noticeable when I play Katana, because, like, when I try to, like, I've told people this before, when I try to reversal throw, they just mash out of my reversal throw because they're mashing pokes, right? And the easy fix to this, like I said before, is like, it should be a mid, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But the whole this doesn't even necessarily matter. That's not the point. I guess the point is, I know how fighting games are. You know, fighting games have been like this for years, where there's always something that, like, you don't want to deal with, or there's always something in a fighting game that, like, breaks, like, what you would enjoy playing, or what you would enjoy playing as a fighting game. and sometimes it's to the point to where you don't want to play it. And so I think it's important to have a realistic approach to fighting games. Like, having a new fighting game is great. I love that. You know, I'm happy for MK11. I think it's going to be a great game. Or MK11, MK12. I think it's going to be a great game overall. I think the fact that it had more production value is going to be important. But at the same time, I'm also realistic about like what is going to be happening going forward with fighting games. You know, like it's not going to be different this time. Is kind of my point. You know, so anyway, the whole point is get ready for MK12. It's gonna be great. You know, it's a new game, which is good. That's something we should have a positive mindset of. But at the same time, it's one of those things where, like, you know, be realistic with what's coming forth. The game's not gonna naturally be better because, you know, it's a new fighting game. There's gonna be things you're not gonna like about it too. No different than MK11. It's one of those things, like, I think one of my friends said it best. It's gonna be a new kind of BS. You know, like, BS, is it BS you want to deal with, or is it BS that you've accepted, like, it's not gonna be your kind of game kind of thing. So anyway, have fun playing fighting games, have a good fight, and I can't wait for the reveal tomorrow, and I'll see you guys later.